Greetings, I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, the G.I. Joe Gamer. Back, Joe fans, for another Joe Takes. This will be number 19. And today, we're talking about Destro from the Hilt. Now, this is a video I've wanted to make for a while. What's held me back was, Cobra Convergence for a bit, and then my G.I. Joe Gold Bricks. So he's definitely the first Cobra the Enemy, or just the Enemy figure or character that I want to take a look at and give you my take on. Now, when I was going through my figures, I realized that my vintage figures were lacking on Destro. I had the version 1 and 2 Destro at one point, but I think I had a situation where I got the 1993 Destro, and I said to myself, hey, I got a new Destro. I don't need those because for some reason I don't have either the 1983 or 1988 Destro. And so there's my 93 Destro, and he came with this gun. He also came with this little device that shot things out. Like they did a lot of that weird stuff in the 90s. And I do have that somewhere, but it's a good day in the morning for asthma, but sorry about that. I do like that figure. It's okay. It wasn't as good as the 83 or 88 figure. And for the life of me, I don't know what I ever did with my 83 figure. But I know that I took apart my 88 figure and I used him for parts. And at that time, as a young guy, and I was just starting in my 20s at that point, I did not like the gold head Destro. I don't know why. I do now. I have a much better appreciation for it. So there were 4 Destros in the vintage line, and I still have 2 of them. At one time I had all of them. So here's the other one. This is the only Star Brigade figure I have. I did not like that line. I don't know if I have the missile for that. I've got a ton of them. I'm sure I could probably find one that fits in there. I might even be able to find the one that went with him, because my brother gave me this figure, and so he came with one of the Uzis that Snake Eyes came with in, I think, the 89 version of Snake Eyes, and he also came with this submachine gun pistol that came with Voltar, and it's got this really, really big barrel on it. So it's not really a pistol, but it's a really mini submachine gun. That's why they call it a submachine gun. But yeah, it was okay. What I did like about this figure was the helmet would turn around, so you'd have like a sun shield, and the helmet just pops off, and he has the same head as the 93 Destro. So they were a little consistent, but they were trying to reuse parts and whatever and whatnot. But I do have a stand-in for my 1988 and 83 Destros. So we'll look at the 88 one first. This is my modern version of Destro. Now, I have quite a few of these, and I don't know why I managed to acquire more than my fair share of this particular type of Destro. Now, I do have some from the modern line, some modern examples of this figure, but I got this one out of a pack. It was one of the 5 packs for Cobra, and this was, to me, the best version of Destro that they had ever put out. And so I'm happy with this one, and I'm glad I have this one. And I do at some point want to reacquire the 83 and 88 versions of Destro, because I have the Destro's Despoiler that he came with in 1988. So I know I had him at some point, and I know I used to play with him. So that's where we're at on that now. So that takes us to my carded examples, and so I've got one of these on card. I actually never took this guy out of the package, nor did I ever buy one in the package like this, because I had several examples of this exact same figure that came with box sets. This is the one that came with the original modern 25th anniversary set for Cobra. I've compared them. It's the exact same figure, so I was like, what's the point of getting a second one? And I picked this up late, in the line, and that's why it doesn't have the 25th anniversary symbol on it. But that's one of my carded examples of Destro. I actually have a few. Now, they came out with one in the retro line, and it's okay. I mean, I think the head has a little bit to be desired. And, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to let you go ahead and check out the back and maybe get a better look at that file card. If my hands would stop shaking today, it's just one of those days with my asthma that's really bugging me. But, you know, I've been up for a while, and it seems like it takes longer to get ready for these videos than it does to make them. But it's a lot of fun. I dig Destro. He's a cool character and a great addition to the G.I. Joe line. I'll get into his character here in a bit, but and then I picked up this one, and I definitely have one of these out of the package. I've got actually more than one of these. But he's a cool figure. Like I said, I never was super fond of the gold head. I'm not, you know, I don't hate it. In fact, as I grew older, I definitely got a better appreciation for it. But I found one with the 25th anniversary still in the stores. So I made sure I picked it up because I was trying to get at one point. Let me get my big old fingers out of the way. But at one point, I was trying to get every one of them that I had out of the package in the package. So I've got about 65 of them, I think, like this. Yeah, 63. Because then I got a couple of Toys R Us exclusives still in the package. But that is my carded examples of Destro. Now I'm going to swap them out for some of these other things that I have. I got, of course, when I got to the classified line, so we're going to take a look at the boxes. Number 3 in the series was Destro, and now this art is pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty good. Somebody did one up that I found with a white background instead of a red. Now, I actually kind of like that better. That's why I used it as my thumbnail, as part of my thumbnail. And for the thumbnail for the promo on Joe Takes 19, which will be at the end of this video. I'm getting it down to a pretty decent methodology of how I do these videos. Of course, it had the regular thingy on the back, and then they brought out the 15th figure in the line. This is the only one they did in gold, and I thought it was cool because this was the Prophet Director Destro. I know that it was the homage to the Pimp Daddy Destro, which for some reason, we can't call it that, can we? But that's what everybody calls it. So I do have the retro Destro as well. So we'll be taking a look at those, and I want to kind of compare them. But they attempted to put out a file card on these giant jumbo cards. But this right here, I mean, look, what is this? I mean, we get nothing. Again, it's just like with the retro line, and that's just what they did with with the smaller ones, even with this guy here. I mean, the file card it's not really a file card. It was an attempt, and it's a nice idea, and it looks nice, and so on the wall it looks good. So I haven't actually had the opportunity. I've got one in the package still that I haven't hung up yet. Did have it on the wall for a little while over here behind me, but my cat got into it, so it's got a little bit of damage to it. And you know, what you gotta do? And when you have pets, you gotta put up with some weird stuff sometimes with pets. So, well, that takes us to the actual classified figures, which is what I figure everybody is here to check out. At least that's what I like to check out every time I rewatch my videos. And I know everybody digs the figures, but I like to also give my 2 cents on the figure. I did like this classified Destro, and it is one of the figures in the classified line that got me to collect the line as an actual collection instead of. Yeah, these older figures don't really like to go on battle stands very well, but get out of here. More of those. But anyway, Destro was. I thought they put him together really well. Now I think that this is the repaint that they had come out later. I bought him online, so I really don't know, because they were saying something about him having a circle on his head originally, and I'm like, I never had that, so I'm guessing mine's the repaint, and I'm fine with that because it turned out to be the better figure. But then they brought this bad boy out, Mr. Prophet Director Destro, and I like this figure. I know it's a little over the top and silly, and it doesn't really seem like Destro. Now, I had some pics, and I've included them in a few videos where the Baroness is actually wearing this leopard skin cloak, and it actually fits her better as far as I'm concerned. Then he has the little shades, and I kind of like the shades because you can just pop them up, and you can see they actually fit on his head pretty well and don't come off. You know, I mean, if I shook it around a little bit, it probably would, but it stays on fairly well. So I have no issues with the new Destro figures. Now, when they came out with the retro figure, I really like the retro figure. To me, it's the best classified Destro they've actually put out, and I do appreciate the fact that they included a battle stand that's actually for the figure, which is nice, because these ones for some reason work really well, and they're made for them, so that's why they should. And the only issue I have with this Destro is the briefcase. I love the red symbol on the Cobra briefcase, on the Cobra symbol right there. I don't know why they just they left it black. They didn't paint it. I mean, silver would have been nice. That's what I think. But they didn't paint the one on the Prophet Director one either. But I don't know what color they would have gone with on this gold to make it look good. Red, maybe, but the red and gold maybe would have clashed. I don't know. Now, they had him come. These are all the same figure, just repainted. So I was going to really look at the one I like the most. So, he comes with a little sidearm pistol, standard. But then, they redid his laser pistol, or his gun, and it's got to be a gun, otherwise he wouldn't have put a sight on it. I mean, yeah, what's the point of a laser sight with a laser gun? I mean, wouldn't it pretty much be the same thing? You could target with the laser and then fire it at the same time. I never saw the issue of a laser pistol with a sight, but it's funny how a lot of them come with them, and I get the whole monocular scope on a gun. And for a specialist in laser weapons like flash or sci-fi, that'd be cool. They had another one that came out that was a laser trooper in the 2000s, and for the life of me, I have him, but I can't remember his name at the moment. But this is Destro's video, so we'll get into that another day when if they ever bring out flash or sci-fi in the classified line, I'll probably talk about it then. But I really like this gun, and their updated version of his pistol. Now, the Prophet Director one didn't come with that pistol. He just came with the sidearm, and it's gold. And I don't have a problem with that. But the original one came with the red paint on the pistol, and I like that. I do, but for some reason, for me, just the standard black pistol works better. I don't know why. For me, I prefer it. I'm not sure whether I like the eyebrows painted on that figure. I don't know if you can see that, but I do like the way they did his eyes in black. That was kind of cool. So you can see his eyes there, and I like that. The other one was just all silver, and I don't have a problem with that either. And like I said, the gold head's pretty cool, and not necessarily with the Prophet Director Destro, but I did come to appreciate it more as I got older with the gold head, especially going back and rereading some of the comics from Larry Hama, and why Destro actually went that route and everything. I did like the briefcase, and inside the briefcase there's a there's money and a laptop, and well, I want to open one up and take a look. Now, I did use this in my recent Operation Joe Takes series, and then I have put it all together into one video. And if I can ever get this open, I am never good with this kind of stuff, and I don't know which way they. There we go. There we go. Like I said, it's got money at the top, and then it's got like a laptop, and so maybe I can get some of this light in here without having it be a glare. But yeah, it even says Mars in there, and I thought they did a good job with this briefcase. Now, getting it back in here while I'm still doing a video, that will be the trick. Okay. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother. I'll just set it over here, and I'll put these back so that I can start talking about the comic. Now, to me, Larry Hama, he's the godfather of G.I. Joe, and I totally agree with that. In the comics, Destro, I mean, yeah, he's their weapons supplier, but his main original function was to be Cobra Commander's counter to Hawk. He was going to be Cobra Commander's field commander, and he saw himself as the counter to General Flag and not Hawk, because, well, he was the overall leader of Cobra, and Flag was the overall leader of G.I. Joe at the time. And so Cobra Commander needed a counter to Hawk, because Hawk, it was an exceptional field commander. No matter what your opinion on Hawk is, the truth is he led the Joes really well, and so he wanted a counter, and so he got a weapons supplier and a general in Destro. Now, I know it's kind of difficult to fathom the hierarchy of Cobra, but originally it was Cobra Commander and the Baroness, and when Destro was brought into the mix, Baroness kind of would step back and let the two of them do their thing. And there was a big bit where at first Cobra Commander hired on Major Blood to try to kill Destro, and I think Cobra Commander eventually got to the point where he knew that Destro was best where he was, running Mars and selling him weapons. Not necessarily being his field leader, but that is originally what he hired Destro to do, was lead his troops into battle. Now, I really love what Larry Hama has done with Destro in the comic book, and reading the comics, you can actually argue that Destro is one of the main bad guy characters in the entire series, more so than Cobra Commander or the Baroness or any other enemy character in the series. Larry Hama really put a lot of depth into Destro. I mean, there's a cover with Destro with Flint and Lady J, where they went in and took his castle back from an imposter that turned out to be Major Blood. That was a great comic book, especially with the fact that we have Lady J and Destro in the comic together, and with the cartoon. And I don't know if Larry Hama had that in his head, but I kind of keep that, where Lady J and Destro have familial ties in their ancestry, and that's kind of cool. It was neat to have Lady J in that comic with Destro, and they interacted really well. And Destro seemed to have a lot of respect for Flint. You know, you may not see eye to eye all the time, but Destro respected and appreciated what the Joes did for what their purpose was. He didn't agree with them, and he was decidedly their enemy on most occasions. But Destro had honor. Of all the Cobra baddies in the comics, Destro had honor. My favorite cover, not necessarily my favorite issue, but my favorite cover is this one right here, where Destro is squared off against Storm Shadow. Knowing full well the danger, Destro was that confident in his ability to shoot Storm Shadow. Didn't work out that way for him, but I think Destro is also a pretty good judge of character, and he knew that Storm Shadow wasn't going to kill him. So he wasn't going to back down, because Destro, he doesn't back down. Now he will withdraw strategically for because he's a genius. He's a genius at making weapons. He's a genius strategist. I mean, that's why Cobra Commander hired him in the first place. Now, as the series went on, it seemed like his pursuit changed from trying to figure out what he wanted in Cobra to he went through this phase after him and Cobra Commander got trapped in the pit, and they both escaped together, and they had that unmasking issue, and that was okay because they really didn't show their faces. There was a point later on where they did show Destro's face, but he looked like just a regular Scotsman. It was kind of cool. I actually liked that because he wasn't extraordinary. He wasn't devastatingly handsome. He wasn't ugly. He was just a dude, and I like that. He's a Scottish lord, and I like the way they showed that. Now, I did like how the imposter Cobra Commander Fred the invaded Destro's castle and got his butt kicked. And then when Cobra Commander actually came back, he just took Destro's castle. Destro, it's like he knew what he could handle and what he couldn't. And Destro was out of there when Cobra Commander actually took his castle. I mean, he definitely stayed there for the defense and everything, but when he realized that Cobra Commander was going to win, he was gone. So, but Destro, what does Destro really lose? I mean, yeah, he has defeats in battle in the comics, but he finds a way to turn that defeat into victory in a lot of cases. And the whole Cobra Island debacle, where Serpentor and Fred the were fighting back and forth, and he just shows up at the end and, no, I just wanted the Baroness. It was just like, what did he really want? I mean, I know he started selling weapons again, but in the comics, his goal was not world domination once he decided to do the whole Iron Grenadier route. But then when he realized that Cobra was weak and that Fred the was an idiot, he just came in and took over and was like, all right, the problem is that no one's been running Cobra, and it's been running itself into the ground. And so he just took over and just told them what they were going to do, and they all did it, even Fred the as Cobra Commander, because he knew he was outed. So there wasn't really much he could do. I mean, he had the authority that Destro let him have. And of course, Cobra Commander came back and took back over it. That was interesting. I do love the way Larry Hama writes stories. He was like, oh, Cobra Commander's dead for a while. And then he goes, you know what? I think I want Cobra Commander back. And so he went into this whole storyline where he brought Cobra Commander back. And the interaction between Cobra Commander and Destro, to me, I love the stories about the Joes and all the camaraderie they have and everything. But the banter back and forth between the enemy agents was always cool too. Destro, he didn't hate the Dreadnoks in the comics, but he had no respect for him. He was like, what are these guys? But he did respect Zartan in the comics, and I like that. Now, in the Sunbow cartoon, and it's a different story. Destro, in the first one, the Menace of the Mass Device in the Sunbow animated series, he took over at some point, and I love the interaction between him and Cobra Commander, where Cobra Commander 3's staff, and hit him in the back of the head, and I mentioned that before. But Destro, true to form and very much the gentleman, just crushed the staff in front of him and said, I'm still in charge, shut up, basically. And that was Destro, and that was such a great introduction to Destro to young minds, and especially mine. And David Burkhart, I think, was the one who did his voice in that. I did like the way he portrayed his voice, even though Destro was supposed to be a Scotsman, but it was made for an American cartoon. And I kind of am interested to see the British version of that, where it was Action Force, just to see what kind of voice they would have given Destro. But when I do Destro's voice, I kind of try to give him a Scottish accent. I'm not very good at that, but I got some ideas for that in some future skits that I'm probably going to be doing. But some of my favorite moments in the comics, I did like the one where they found out that Lady J was related to him, and he wasn't really, I don't know, with what was her name, Laverna Vitale or something like that. The Baroness's disguise and that, she totally fooled him, and I don't know, that was funny, but I don't know if Destro would have really been fooled with that in the comic book, but in the cartoon, that's the way the story went, and Laverna Vitale or something like that. I do like the romance between Destro and the Baroness, and I'm glad that they have that in both the cartoon and the comic book. But Destro, man, he had always been in love with the Baroness from the get-go. There was never any doubt in the storyline that Destro loved the Baroness. Now, and they didn't really get into that at first, but even back, if you go back and read them, Destro, I mean, even the Baroness showed that she loved Destro because she sacrificed herself in the night attack. I think that was issue 16, where she was in the his tank and she sacrificed herself to stop Major Blood from killing Destro. But she didn't die. I mean, she got her face all burned up and she had to go get plastic surgery and stuff. And that's deep G.I. Joe lore and embedded in all the file cards and everything now for the Baroness. But for Destro, you can't really mention Destro without the Baroness. And I know I mentioned Destro a bit in her video, but since I've had her video, I kind of like to stay on topic. But I could talk Joe stuff all day long. But Destro the Baroness, I think that's the best couple in the G.I. Joe verse. I mean, I like Flint and Lady J. That's a great couple. Snake Eyes and Scarlet, I know in the comic that's how it is in the comic, and the cartoon is Snake Eyes and Duke. But Snake Eyes and Duke, the only one they really said that they were a couple was the Resolute. And I liked Resolute, but there were certain things they did in Resolute that I didn't like. But that's kind of how it is with all of them, except for Larry Hama stuff. I mean, yeah, there's some things that Larry Hama does. It's like, okay, dude, but he's the man. He's so whatever he does is for me, I'm cool with it because it's his story, and I like to write in that universe, and I like to have my own little headcanon and write my own stuff. Let me see some of the other things in the cartoon that I really liked and I wanted to mention. I did like Cobra Soundwaves, where Cobra Commander was hanging off the cliff and Destro actually reached to help him, and Cobra Commander slapped his hand away. I don't need any help from you. I did like that interaction, but I think my favorite line of Destro was in Lights Camera Cobra, where Cobra Commander was on the ground and Destro flew into a fire bat and picked him up. And Cobra Commander said, "You saved me!" And Destro said, "I saved a customer." That is my favorite line from Destro in the cartoon. It's in my memory. So there it is. Now, hierarchy-wise for Cobra, I mean, in my headcanon, Destro is his own man. When he's involved with Cobra, he's involved with Cobra. When he's not, he's not. And that's just the way I see it. Now, as far as the comic book where they put a mind control device and that brainwashed him in his tooth, I mean, it's an interesting idea. That's one of the things Larry Hama did that I didn't really approve of. I think it would have been better if Cobra Commander had, come full circle and realized he needed to have Destro on his side. And I know he wanted to control him, and that aspect of it I get. But I think it would have been better in the long run, especially for Destro's character, if they'd have just worked things out. And I think they could have. Because Destro's a businessman, first and foremost. If Cobra Commander would have said, all right, look, the past is past. This is what I want. Are you willing to take my money? And I think Destro would have been like, yeah, I'll take your money. But, maybe it was too much water under the bridge for Cobra Commander. I don't know. That was the storyline. For me, I don't like the whole mind control aspect on Destro. I don't know if that's the way it continued in the IDW run, because I don't have it all, and I especially the last bit over the last few years, I don't even have issue 300 yet, and I keep trying to pick it up, and then it's like it just keeps going up in price. So that is what I want to get. I'll probably wait for the trade paperback and get into that, but if they make one, which they probably will. I mean, the trade paperback seems to do pretty well. What more can I say about Destro that I haven't said already? I mean, he is one of the coolest enemy characters, and you can't necessarily call him Cobra unless he's with Cobra. You can't. I mean, he's always going to have the Iron Grenadiers, but the Iron Grenadiers are his troops. Mentioning his first general, Voltar, who died in the comics. Voltar was good at what he did, and that's why Destro hired him. Scrap Iron originally kind of worked for Destro. I'm not so sure in the cartoon, but in the comic book, that's where he came from, was Mars. So where Scrap Iron's loyalties lie is really hard to fathom too, because they didn't really delve much into his character in either the cartoon or the comic. Which I definitely want to pick up that new Scrap Iron and actually go in and do a video for him, but that's for another day, obviously, because I don't have him yet. But for Destro, though, I think I can sum it up by saying he is, to me, the most important enemy character in the series. I mean, Cobra Commander's my favorite, so don't get me wrong, but Destro, without him, they wouldn't have half the weapons that they have. They wouldn't have half the technology that they have. All that came from Destro's Mars. So there we are in a nutshell. I'm going to take one last look at this Destro figure before I sign out here today. But I do like it, and I probably should just swap those cases around, because that's my only issue with it. So next week, I've got for Joe Takes number 20. I got a special figure planned for that. I'm going to actually take a look at Duke. Now, I know a lot of people he's one of their favorite leaders and favorite characters too. I do like Duke. He's not my favorite character. He's definitely not my favorite leader, but I do like that character, and I do like some of the stuff they've done with him in the classified line, and I do have his vintage figure. So I'll definitely be taking a look at them next time. And oh yeah, I was gonna mention that it was kind of weird because I've got Destro and Duke back to back, and I didn't even plan this, but that's D&D. And yesterday I did a video D&D and me for Dungeons and Dragons, and then next week I'm doing AD&D and me as a part 2. So I'm doing D&D back to back, and I didn't even think about that. Well, it was day before yesterday that I did the video, but it's real early in the morning. Some of these days run together for me. But that was my take on Destro, and I hope you enjoyed it. I've got a little bit. I got some photos and stuff at the last here with these file cards. That video I put out on Monday. I'm just gonna put it right here at the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoy. And with that all being said, Logan out.
Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights I fight these plats I ride to help me through the night. Land of illusion, losing my fuse, abused by confusion, causing contusions, tossing these schmoes and losers. True to the rules, never choose the future. Who's gonna be the next to try? Thinking that you're gonna cut me down to size. Thinking when you gotta look into my eyes. Bye-bye. When even with another line to write, evacuate my sight. I hold the flame that melts the chain. Oh no, all the same my name. Now flow, freedom begins to rain. I have a look to the hearts and minds of those around the world that want to steal your life with their lies, break your pride, making you a victim for the demo side. Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights I fight these plats I ride to help me through the night. Welcome to the game. It's time for the show. Gonna do my thing when I hit the road. Through the darkest nights I fight these plats I ride to help me through the night.
I scrap away my pains. If I never make a move, then the game will never change. It's time to hit the road. From city to city we go. We ready to put on a show and spread our message across the globe. As freedom and liberty slowly erode, this tyranny starting to grow. You can stand up and face it or lie down and take it, but make it your duty to know. Never forget we're the ones in control. You can take what they offer, but me, I want more. Got my eyes on my prize, on my sights, on my goals. It's time that we rise and take over the throne.
Welcome to the game. It's time